exhibit and cultural exchange at the Rockwell Tent in Makati City. For more on what's in store for the Israel-Philippines Friendship Day, we're joined by Pastor Francisco Nicolas Jr., Senior Pastor of the Grain of the New Wine and Oil Ministries, and Francisco de Guzman, who's handling the Events Media Unit. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
Well, first, a backgrounder perhaps. Philippines Friendship Day, what is at the center of it in essence, and how did it all begin?
In reality, this is the first time that we're commemorating the anniversary of the treaty that we have way back 1958. It was the time when the ties between Israel and the Philippines was signed, and it was also the time that the Philippines is having the golden era that we have. You know, the dollar exchange was 2 to 1, we're second in Asia. And so, after 58 years, which would be on this
February
coming
26,
we will have a much higher or much bigger event that we're going to have in Rockwell.
Well, probably those celebrations would be forthcoming for a reason too. What was really the significance of the signing of that treaty, and what did it mean for both countries?
Well, for me, being a pastor, it is a great significance because, in the scripture, those who bless people of Israel will be blessed. Secondly, there was a significant thing that happened because, first of all, there would be a direct flight that has been in the works, which is now already ongoing, that there would be a straight flight from Manila to Israel, which we don't have that for the past several years. As a matter of fact, this is the first time that we have a straight flight to Manila to Israel.
And when is this happening?
This probably it would be...
The MOA has been signed.
The MOA have been signed. As a matter of fact, it's all over, even in the internet.
In the papers?
In paper, the Cebu Pacific and PAL. But having the details would probably take about the middle of this year.
By mid-year, we expect that development and direct flights to Israel.
It's very significant because, remember, being a pastor, about Jerusalem and Israel, all things that we read in the Bible are about their nation. Jerusalem is mentioned 1,000 times. To have a pilgrimage at that, the prices of that would be much lower than the usual, would be significant for me. Second, the ambassador have mentioned about these things that might happen and being happened in regards to our agriculture, which they're very much interested to help us.
So ito po yun, you're naming already the economic benefits that we stand to gain from this. Exactly how does the Philippines stand to gain now from the signing of the treaty and this Friendship Day?
Okay. As you know, Israel and the Philippines have a common security problem. And in this trade exhibit, there would be people coming from Israel and leader local and prominent people, also businessmen in the Philippines that would meet on that place. There are things that they're going to try to exhibit, especially food or cosmetic, and probably it would have greater things that would happen at that. Because now, especially this event, it's a larger than what we have expected.
So clearly, it's going to serve as a venue, as a platform for shared growth. Maybe we should jump into that then. There will be activities, particularly the trade exhibit, the cultural exchange. Please take us through that.
Yes, the Philippines joins Israel in celebrating the 56th year of the Treaty of Friendship. The trade exhibit starts at 10 o'clock.
On the 26th.
On the 26th until 3 p.m. Followed by the cultural exchange program. In the cultural exchange, we will have special guests from New York Opera, Filipino baritone, Andrew Fernando will be there. He has agreed to sing Tivka, and there are others who will be joining. Special performances by Nika Valencia, Mr. Maxi Galoy, and Mr. Lawrence Martinez.
So will these be Filipino, both Filipino and Israeli
Yeah, it's a
talents?
combined, yes.
Or maybe highlighting the music of either country?
Both countries.
Apart from that, there will be visual exhibitions.
Oh yes, and also there will be Philippine folk dances by the world-renowned Folklorico Dance Company. And Rose Rivera will be dancing Israel's Feast of Tabernacles. She dances that every year.
This is part of the cultural
Part of the
exchange
cultural
now.
exchange
As
program.
for the trade exhibit, what do we expect in terms of who the participants are and what
Yes.
items or products might be involved?
Well, we have invited several exhibitors who will be coming in with the Philippine products. That's wonderful. Because they would be sharing with our Israeli friends, no? And other guests from other countries who might be joining us. And incidentally, this event will help raise funds for the celebration. The organizers will be welcoming people for the benefit of last year's Yolanda storm.
So there is a cost attached to it
Yes,
as well.
there is. Through the Christian Friends of Magen David, Adon, the Red Shield of David, officially recognized by the International Red Cross as the National and Aid Society of the State of Israel.
So we're seeing a little networking happening as this happens, and it opens the floor for these people to come together. How exactly do we expect whether the event or the treaty itself and the relationship of two countries to improve our business relations, both coming our way and in reverse for Israel?
Well, initially it's an initial talk for people, private people, especially private businessmen in Israel and private businessmen in the Philippines to really talk. Usually it used to be government to government. Now it's more personal. And that's, I think, is the good thing that's going to happen.
And you're talking about personal. Do we have numbers as far as participants go?
The numbers, I think we have already invited, confirmed about 100 Jews who would be both who are staying here and coming from Israel. And we have probably about 400 businessmen who will be coming. So that's the ratio, 100 to 400.
It's certainly, the event itself and the celebrations have gone a long way. You're talking about 56 years already down the road. Are there any particular milestones worth mentioning over the past 56 years concerning the
It
project?
could be coincidental, but eventually when we started this, the Philippines have already bought a radar from Israel.
What is it? Oh, radar.
Radar, yeah.
Let's hold that up.
Yes, okay.
Aha.
And also look at this, 5 and 6 February, a boat that is unmanned is already being offered
These
to
are
the
in the
Philippines.
papers today, obviously, already
February.
as
This
far
February.
as security is
Yes,
concerned.
and look at this,
Patrolling the
unmanned boat
waters.
that could help us
Yes.
having patrolled in our shore. And so this could be coincidence, but it's in the works. So something's really happening that would be beneficial for us.
A lot of things worth celebrating now. Currently, where are Philippine-Israel relations and where do we hope to see it going?
Okay, in terms of achievable things that's happening, we have at least 40,000 Metapelet or people who works in Israel. And another, especially pilgrimage. Remember, we are the only Christian nation here. It will be very, very, very helpful, especially the direct flight. Because as of now, the ticket for going to Israel 1,004. With this direct flight, probably it will cut in half. So that's what I'm looking at, being a pastor on the spiritual level. And the physical would come, as just like what we have here. The issue about
The
our
business
security,
aspect,
the radar that
security.
we have been bought. And today I think there was a signing of 24 vehicles coming from Israel. And remember, the first one who came to the rescue or helping the Typhoon Yolanda were people from Israel.
Wonderful. And here again is an opportunity for more partnership to happen. Mr. De Guzman, finally, perhaps an invitation.
Yes, we would like to invite, first of all, our kababayans, no? And I'd like to welcome our friends and Filipinos overseas. We're some 50,000 strong, 40 to 50,000 strong Israel. And this is open. The trade fair is open free to the public. That's the beauty of it.
Rockwell Month.
Yeah, it will be held at the Rockwell tent in Makati.
Rockwell Month.
Yes, Rockwell Mall, and it starts at exactly 10 o'clock.
And again, what you are marking is the significance of the Philippines as the only Asian country who voted for UN resolution concerning the partition of Palestine and the creation of the State of Israel that happened in 1947. The Philippine Embassy, of course, in Tel Aviv opened in 1962.
Could I expand it more? Okay. This is the most important part. The creation of Israel, of being a birthing of the nation, the Philippines have a very significant role. We are the swing vote, and the only Asian nation who voted for Israel. And since I'm a pastor, I'll go now to Isaiah 66. It says that a nation could be born in one day, and it did happen on that event. And the Philippines was the one who signed the deciding factor now that Israel became a nation. And for that, we should be grateful because the glory and the blessing of God would be our nation. Thank you.
And the friendship also born on that same day. Well, thank you both, and more power to you and our friends. Thank you, Mr. Francisco Nicolas Jr. and Francisco de Guzman, for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Up next, 2 Olympians test positive for doping.